This is Science 8 readings on Lesson 5.1 WCS. The name of this article is How Trade Winds Cause Upwelling. The purpose for reading this article is to answer the question, what is upwelling and how does it support marine life? When you blew across the beaker in Investigation 5.1, your breath pushed the surface water to one side. The cold colored water at the bottom rose to the top. This is how strong winds near the equator work. These winds, known as trade winds, usually blow from east to west across the tropical Pacific Ocean basin. Just as your breath blew water to one side in the experiment, trade winds push warmer water towards the west, where it accumulates around Indonesia. Then cold water rises from deep areas of the ocean along North and South America. The rising water brings with it nutrients from the ocean bottom that feeds fish and marine life. This rising of cold, deep water is known as upwelling. So the first thing you need is to circle the word upwelling. So upwelling is deep, cold water that rises to ocean surface. Next, I need you to write the words how upwelling happens. And I need you to underline this part that says, trade winds push warmer water towards the west. And so if you notice these arrows right here, they represent the wind blowing. So when that wind is blowing, it's pushing the warm water on top away. And so then what happens is that the cold water rises and takes its place. So cold water rises and takes its place. So you'll need to underline that over here. And so basically you have a convection current because the wind is pushing that warm water on the top over, and then the cold water is actually rising and taking the place of that warm water that's on top. Next, I need you to underline the words, the rising water brings with it rich nutrients from the ocean bottom that feed fish and marine life. And I need you to write next to it that upwelling is important because it brings food from the bottom of the ocean up for the fish to eat. Sometimes the trade winds weaken and an El Niño warming takes place. El Niño is an unusually warm flow of surface water. During an El Niño warming, there is no wind to push the warm water westward, and the cold water near the Americas cannot rise to the surface. The nutrients from the bottom of the ocean stay at the bottom. Sea organisms that depend upon these nutrients die. You will read more about El Niño and its impact in extending your knowledge. El Niño stirs up the world's water later in this lesson. So you need to circle the word El Niño, and that's one of our vocabulary words, and write the definition to the side. And you need to write to the side that this is a warm ocean current that happens in the Pacific Ocean every 2 to 7 years, meaning that this warm ocean current does not happen every single year. So next we need to underline that in El Niño, there's no wind to push the warm water up. And so since the cold water cannot rise to the surface, The nutrients from the bottom of the ocean stay at the bottom. So basically, this is why the El Nino is important, because there is absolutely no wind. And if there's no wind that pushes that warm water away and makes the cold water replace that warm water, no nutrients or no fish food come up, and so the fish starve and die. End of recording.